everyone, and welcome to another episode of the GP Innovation Series. My name is Wendy Smith, and I am here with Brent Barnette, the Economic Development Director of the Climate Resilience Execution Agency for Dominica, or CREAD. So welcome, Brent. I can see you're here from sunny Dominica.
Very sunny.
Just to get straight into it, it'd be great to know a bit more about CREAD itself, why it was founded, what its goals are, and a bit more about that.
Sure. So CREAD, as you mentioned, is the Climate Resilience Execution Agency for Dominica. The organization was created by an act of parliament in the wake of Hurricane Maria in 2017, which decimated the island. Dominica sits in the Lesser Antilles between Guadeloupe and Martinique, right in the middle of the hurricane belt, and was very, very badly damaged by Hurricane Maria. Losses totaling more than 226% of GDP. So really quite a devastating storm. And in the wake of that, as part of the recovery, Parliament created the organization CREAD to channel donor funding coming into the country and help facilitate the rebuilding effort and to help the country achieve overall climate resilience. So our mandate is to help the country achieve resilience in terms of infrastructure, resilience in terms of communities, and also resilience in terms of the economy. And my remit is to focus on economic resilience. And in turn, we define economic resilience as being a function of effective risk management, sector growth and diversification, so having a wide range of sectors of the economy being effective. And lastly, access to finance. So businesses, both ex ante and ex post a natural disaster, are able to secure financing that they need to grow. So in a nutshell, that's the organization and the economic growth function within the organization.
Great, that's incredibly interesting. I think particularly when you look at how that fits into risk mitigation, management, and overall sort of disaster risk financing. For Global Parametrics, we're always looking at the organizational level, how we can help organizations manage, mitigate, and finance their risk to these issues. So to find out a little bit more about the Hurricane blockchain product itself, I mean, where did the idea come about? Can you tell us a bit more about the sort of inception of the product?
Sure. So again, as I mentioned, we have those three areas of focus for economic growth: risk management, sector development, diversification, and then access to finance. And this is very clearly an outgrowth of our focus on risk management. So we were looking really at the totality of options that could be available in terms of risk management, whether it's a national savings account or whether it's deploying macro level insurance solutions or meso level insurance solutions or micro level insurance solutions. And through a series of discussions with a number of different partners, including an introduction to Global Parametrics, we decided that one of the interventions we would like to focus on was the development of micro-level solutions for individuals and to deploy parametric insurance at the retail level. So this is something that's not really been done much. Parametric insurance is generally sold at the sovereign level or at the institutional level. But with all financial innovations, eventually they work their way down to retail consumers. And we felt that we were at a moment where parametric insurance had enough maturity. The pricing has become much more appealing to individual consumers. And we thought that we could develop a solution that could be deployed directly to end consumers. And the idea of tying it with blockchain came about through discussion with the Blockchain and Climate Institute out of London, who helped us with some of the initial thinking and developing the proposal. And as a result of those discussions, we submitted a proposal to the Inter-American Development Bank and Compete Caribbean as part of a blockchain-focused competition that they were running, and we were selected as a grant recipient from that competition, and that allowed us to have the funds necessary actually to start developing the product.
I love the different partners and the sort of range of different institutions that have come together, all from a really sort of innovative perspective to make it work and to make it happen. So, I mean, when we talk about parametric solutions, we always bring up the fact that these sorts of solutions are very easy to scale. And we talk about how they can be sort of transparent in the way that the access to finance works. But maybe you could talk a little bit more about how the product reaches the end user and how it reaches those who are most vulnerable to the risks of tropical cyclones, particularly in Dominica.
Sure. Yeah. So it's probably worth mentioning about the role that blockchain technology itself plays in the platform, because it's very closely linked to what you were just asking about. How do we reach the end consumers? The idea was that we wanted to have a highly secure, reliable, trustworthy platform where we could deliver both the digital infrastructure of the product and the smart contracts directly to end users. So the platform allows us to do that. So we can reach customers with what we imagine eventually will be a no-touch sales process. So everyone accesses the product directly through an app on their mobile phone. They make their product selection through an app on the mobile phone, and they make their policy payment, their premium payment through the mobile phone. And then in the event of a triggering event against the policy parametric determinants, if that happens, then they receive a payout as well directly into a mobile wallet on their phone. So we wanted really for it to be a very low cost platform, highly scalable, so that it could effectively be deployed throughout the region, and again with extremely low operating costs. So and I think one of the keys is to make the product simple and comprehensible, so that it's very straightforward. And people can understand it quite clearly. Of course, Global Parametrics has been really key in helping us design the product so that we understand how we minimize basis risk, and that's really been quite important to us. Again, this is a new class of financial product. In some ways it's complex, in some ways it's actually quite simple, but it's very different from what people are used to when they think about insurance. So getting them to understand really the way that the product works has been essential. And so working with GP has been really key as we've tried to address basis risk while making the product affordable and comprehensible to the customers who we're hoping to sell it to.
Yeah, exactly. I think, a lot of the time when you get those sort of asymmetries of knowledge, it comes from the asymmetry sort of down the chain. So the important thing about parametrics is to try and have that one level of understanding of risk from the modeler right down to the end user. So you're able to sort of fully comprehend how the product works and how the payouts work. And that creates hopefully a very transparent and scalable product, which is great to see. In terms of the demand for the product itself, are there any particular sectors of the Dominican economy, or are there any particular groups that have shown particular demand for the product itself?
Well, as it happens, we've had a series of focus groups where we've gone out and talked directly to the people where we're piloting the product. So we're piloting through two credit unions in Dominica. So the credit union movement is very strong in the Caribbean region and has a long history with very high market penetration. So credit unions are in pretty much every community. Everyone has a credit union account, and as such, we can reach a large segment of the population through the credit unions, and we decided that they would be a really good partner for reaching customers for this initial product launch. So in discussions with those groups, it became very clear early on that really one of the main applications would be for agriculture. Again, Dominica has historically had a very high reliance on agriculture for its economy as a result of repeated storms. That has diminished somewhat over the course of the past many years, and now the economy is dominated really by services. But agriculture remains an important aspect of the economy, and most people to some extent have some dependence on agriculture for their income. So we wanted to be able to make this product available to them because there is no other option for insurance. One thing I think that was key in deploying the product was to make it complementary to existing products in the market. This is really not something that's intended to compete with existing insurance products. We don't see it as competing with existing insurance products. It's really intended to reach those who are financially underserved and who don't have access to traditional products. In the wake of Hurricane Maria, something like 86% of assets were uninsured. So there's a huge segment of the market that does not have access to insurance, either by choice or because products aren't available for them. So really, we perceive that one of the largest areas of uptake will be agriculture. That, of course, has implications in terms of the design of the product. So we'll want to revisit, I expect, in coming years, how the product is designed, what parameters we are measuring, because that will be determining the degree to which farmers have been impacted by storms and received damage.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting that you mentioned agriculture sort of initially, because I think when it comes to sectors that are and have a bit of a base knowledge maybe around these sorts of risk management techniques and innovation around these sorts of risk management, including parametrics, agriculture is seen to be one of the sectors that's quite quick to take up these sorts of innovations. So it's great to see that there's the demand there from that particular sector, and I think it'd be really interesting to find out how the payouts have worked and to get that impact information following the pilot. So yeah, I mean, looking to beyond the pilot itself, I guess what's the sort of roadmap for the product in the future? Do you have any sort of goals or any impact targets that you're looking to hit for the pilot?
So the pilot, as I mentioned, is through these two credit unions in the south of Dominica, the south and in the west of Dominica. So they have between them membership of about 16,000 individuals. This is a pilot. We're trying to make sure that people understand the product. In terms of how many policies we sell in the initial pilot launch, we targeted between 500 and 1,000 policies. I think we generally perceive the pilot as being successful in terms of the degree to which people understand the product. So I think it's really, in this initial launch, it's much more important for people to have an understanding of how the product works, more than it's important that people buy the policy. Again, CREAD is a quasi-governmental organization, so our role is to help bring these innovations to market. And then the hope is that the private sector will step in and pick up this sort of a product and deploy it more broadly. So after the pilot, our hope is that there will be private sector actors who step in and say, we like this innovation of technology, combining the platform with the risk management solution, and we would like to take it as part of our suite of products for risk management that we sell to end users. One thing I think that's also quite interesting is that these products, while selling them directly to end consumers is a viable route to market, it's also quite possible that this becomes a product that's bundled with other solutions. So perhaps it's something that is sold alongside a debt product, because by having an insurance solution that's sold alongside a debt product, it increases the certainty of repayment associated with the debt, and that increases the overall resilience of financial institutions and the financial system as a whole. So we see that there's a lot of different ways that this can be deployed and a lot of different applications for this sort of technology. So I think certainly one important piece in what CREAD sees is the resilience journey for Dominica.
There are a lot of different pathways to sustainability then, I guess.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, just taking kind of like a step back from the program as a whole, how have you found as an agency within CREAD working with different institutions within the sort of public and private sector to build a product like the hurricane blockchain?
I think I would sort of say that there are, really probably 3 or 4 different main components to what we have to deal with. The first is designing the risk product, which has a lot of considerations. That's looking at basis risk, looking at affordability, looking at the complexity of the product. There's the development of the technology platform itself. There is the regulatory environment and the regulatory considerations, which is obviously quite important. We're introducing a new class of financial products. So working with the regulator has been very important, and we've had a very good partnership with the local regulator in Dominica. In the Eastern Caribbean Union, which is governed by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, there is policy harmonization, regulatory harmonization between the member states. So a regulatory approval that we receive in Dominica is recognized within that regional body. So that's good. And then I suppose the other aspect of it that we've had to deal with is the pilot itself and engaging with the institutions to try and reach their end customers and have them champion this product on our behalf. And all throughout, we've had very good relationships. We've had good luck in trying to bring this, admittedly complex innovation to people. And there has been I think there's been a real willingness to say, let's give this a try and let's see how this can become an effective part of our overall risk management strategy.
Yeah, so a no regrets policy, basically. Looking at
no regrets.
Yeah, looking to build something like this. Yeah, well, that's absolutely fantastic. And I think looking to the future, how do you see this sort of like partnership looking for countries such as Dominica, which maybe sort of low middle income countries which face really extreme natural hazard and climate and extreme weather risk? Do you think these sorts of partnerships are the way forwards for sort of catalyzing markets that may not currently exist?
Without a doubt. Harnessing innovations of the private sector and disaster risk financing products like Global Parametrics offers, creating other approaches to managing disaster financing. This is essential to managing the risk that places like Dominica face. So yeah, I absolutely, without a doubt, I see partnerships between the private sector and public sector organizations like CREAD as being really essential to finding a way forward. And then, I think certainly Dominica has a history to look to in terms of its experiences with severe weather events. I think the reality is that there's also a future of severe weather events that places like Dominica will face. And the degree to which there are partnerships in place for leveraging access to commercial and concessional capital to help us better prepare, I think is going to be the degree to which we're successful in addressing the future risks that we face.
I completely agree with you. All right, thank you so much, Brent, for taking the time for this conversation. It's been really nice hearing from you, and yeah, I hope to kind of watch this space with the impact story from the pilot, and hopefully we can have a chat in a year and see how it's grown and how it's developing.
Most definitely.